of interest. And worst yet, the legislature, not like here in town, there, the legislature's supposed to approve the final negotiated contract. Well, guess what they do there? They don't even vote on it. They hang it on a calendar so nobody has their fingerprint on it. I made a big stink on it for years that we should do our duty and actually vote yes or no on these contracts. So in essence, your tuition increase is a byproduct, although they could shrink some spending locally to make up for that. But it's the legislature really gets the blame for it at the end of the day.
And that was actually supposed to go away a couple of years ago. The governor came in, he said, no more of this, on the calendar, if you don't act, it gets automatic.
We'll get that. Let's take one more question on this and then let's move on.
I think you're right, I think we should move on.
Because we need to.
Topic 2.
Actually, Julie, did you have?
Any other budget questions?
I did have a question, but I think my question was related only because you brought up the fact that we're losing population in Connecticut. And there was something on NPR the other day that I was listening to that was really referring to the graying of Connecticut, we're losing young people.
Yes, that was a great, I heard it too.
Yeah, the graying of Connecticut. We're losing young people because they can't afford to live here. After they complete school, they can't come back, they can't find jobs. Corporations won't move here because we don't have a transportation infrastructure or a housing infrastructure that supports young people starting out in their careers. Is there any discussion of solutions to these issues going on in Hartford right now?
There was, I mean, what happened last year, the live here, learn here?
Yeah, last year was-
We did the live here, learn here thing, which was helpful, I mean,
But it takes a while for these things to take root.
But again, we're talking nickel and dime stuff, which is
Yeah.
helpful, but this goes back to my earlier point. If we're gonna, if you're gonna build it and they will come, jobs come when businesses move here. Businesses move here when they can make money here. And if you make it more complicated than that, you're losing the big picture. And when they make money here is when they can invest, take chances, hire people because they know what their taxes are gonna be, they know what their regulatory structure is gonna be, they know what their competitors are gonna be, and they know the government's not gonna help or hurt them.
Well, and yet they come here because they get tax breaks to come. We're pulling them from other states, so
That
they're
was our
getting
biggest
tax
draw.
breaks to come.
That was our biggest draw, no state income tax. Connecticut was
Yeah, it used to be.
really was an attractive option. Now we're becoming the same as New York, and so it's just as easy not to have to drive that far and just go right over the border, and we're seeing a lot of that now.
And we just spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to move, and some of the effort's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I agree with some of what the governor and his folks are saying, is, trying to keep some business here, I understand. But you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to move this third richest company in the world from Westport to Stanford. You throw hundreds of millions of dollars in for, we talked about Jackson Labs, or I don't know if it was over $100 million for NBC, who was coming here anyway. I mean, it's, rather than pick 5 or 6, instead of first and 5, let's do first and 500. That's how young people get here. Because the transportation, the infrastructure, and the housing infrastructure grow underneath that when the tide comes back.
There's
Not
7
just
states
here and
thinking about eliminating their income tax. 7 states, so they know, because who's growing the fastest? Texas. Texas has no state income tax, it has no estate tax, it has no pension tax, it has no car tax, so it pays
You have to
more
live
for
in
gas.
Texas.
So-
That's the biggest tax of all.
I know, that's the problem, it is Texas after all.
Okay, on that note, let's keep moving forward, because it's almost 8 right now, so let's keep moving on. You wanna sit down or you wanna stand?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Well, I
Let's be
mean,
family here.
that's right. You want,
Okay, so.
the
go ahead.
Newtown Task Force. I mean, one of the reasons that tonight was more or less picked, other than scheduling a room and everything else, is theoretically anyway, we were supposed to, the goal was to be able to vote on a package yesterday. Didn't happen. Maybe it'll happen next week. That's sort of, yeah, I mean, that's, we blocked session out on
On my
Wednesday.
car, on the way here, I heard it.
So, yeah, and we could give you, if there's details in the package, we can give you as many details as you want, but, again, it's been a sort of a three-headed effort, gun control, mental health, school security. Tony was, I think, in charge, or one of the chairperson on the school security issue. Dan was on the gun violence thing as a member of Newtown, and I've been working kind of the back channels on the gun issue and some of the legal issues because I'm a lawyer. So, we could, I don't know what's the best way to progress this discussion, other than take questions, or would it be better to say, this is what we think is going to happen next week? I mean, what?
You know what I think would be best, because you know what? You know what you were interested in hearing about. I think we should ask you what you want to hear about, what your questions on any of these topics, just go for it, unless you want us to go right through this budget, presentation, but I think you've got the handout.
Well,
Budget's done, oh, good, this is
the
wonderful.
budget's thing, well, in the back of it's got the consensus proposal.
Right.
So,
We can look that over, and I can give you a little thumbnail of whether that's still fine today, and where I think people are going. There will be some gun control measures. Maybe not as draconian as was originally thought, but nevertheless, it might be more uncomfortable to some that want no further regulation, and it'll be less than what some of the gun control advocates truly wanted to see. So at the end of the day, Connecticut has some of the strongest gun laws in the country. It will continue to have even stronger after this, but it will still maintain the fact that we have a US Constitution and a Connecticut Constitution that go a long ways to protecting gun rights. The federal one and the state one actually goes further to say that you have the right to have firearms to protect both you, your family, and the state, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's an express protection of an individual right to self-protection. That's the same right under the federal constitution, but that was derived from case law as opposed to express.
You want to chime in now?
What's the,
Yeah.
Issued out about 3 weeks ago in front of a preschool in New Haven, and we were able to take all the kids downstairs to protect them. Amazing news, like 3 days later, for about 30 seconds.
I didn't hear about it.
Nobody did.
Well, but frankly, this goes to my point.
Oh, it does.
This
It
goes
does.
to my point, because this is
Absolutely.
happening constantly.
You make a very good point, and our Black and Latino caucus members that do represent the inner city are very, very upset about the fact that so much is focused on Newtown, and they don't get focused on the problems they're having, as you were just saying so
Right.
well, on a daily basis, a weekly basis that we have going on in our society.
What, go ahead.
Also, the way that the protective orders are done in Connecticut, they only search for registered arms. I had to have a protective order on someone who pointed a gun at me. It wasn't registered. You got to keep all of his illegal handguns, and there was nothing anyone can do about it, because they only go with what's registered. If the person doesn't register it, it doesn't make a difference.
And from what I understand, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, but
That's not, I mean, it's supposed to go after every,
I know.
but that, and we didn't talk about whether there's an enforcement issue.
But it's a
Yeah.
loophole, because they only go through what they have is registered, Department of Public Safety. And if a person has unregistered weapons,
Which they don't know about it because
They don't know about
they
it.
don't know about it.
Yeah.
Even if you say, hey, I know where they are, it doesn't matter. And I also wanted to comment on the school safety issue with the weapons. I think kids need artists and art teachers and music teachers more than armed guards. And if we have a society like that, we have a society that produces less violence.
Well, I have to tell you that our working group did discuss the idea of states funding armed guards, and we left it to we were very careful not to mandate the actual personnel. We did suggest that be a part of the assessment that they do, but local communities are choosing that on their own, and Reading made a very strong statement recently at a meeting that they had where they chose, and I'll tell you, that crowd was huge. It was busting out of the community center, and it was 2/3, 1/3 that really wanted to employ armed guards at their school. And
Well,
that was a
it's
local-
SROs, it's an armed guard, it's a student resource officer. Weston just picked, because I represent Weston as well, they just hired a couple, some retired cops and whatnot. But some towns say no. I mean, I think it's up to the towns.
Well, let's come
I
back, let's
voted
come
yes
back
on
to.
it, my kids go to the Reading schools, I voted yes.
Okay, wait, so John, and then we have.
Yeah,